Hello? This piece of direct.
All right, we ready? Welcome back. Last time we talked about some assumptions. Drugs cause addiction, and addiction is cortical. And today I wanted to talk about where one of those assumptions came from. Drugs cause addiction. To do that, let me go back to 1981. I just got to medical school. Had no idea I was going to be a psychiatrist. In fact, I was going to be anything but a psychiatrist. And I had one lecture that year on psychiatry, at least one I remember anyway. The lecturer came and said, "I wouldn't blame you if you thought psychiatry was bull. It's been so subjective and so theory-driven that it really doesn't have much science in it." But that year, 1981, psychiatry got a new book, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, Edition 3. And this book, he said, turned psychiatry from bull to science. Wow. I thought, I'm part of history. This is great. I'm watching it happen. And this book really was amazing. It was a great breakthrough. It had something very special to say about addiction. It created specific behavioral criteria for two diagnoses, substance abuse and substance dependence. The dependence was pretty much what we thought of as addiction, and the abuse was pretty much what we thought of as just people doing stupid things with drugs and alcohol. The criteria were all behavioral, and they all had to do with the substance. There were no non-substances included, and all the drugs that were included were separated. So you could have cocaine dependence, or alcohol dependence, or cannabis dependence, or polydrug dependence. But you couldn't have a drug dependence unless you were taking the drug. There was no such thing in this book as having addiction before you took the substance. The concept of a brain disorder pre-existing called addiction that is actually a primary brain disorder doesn't even fit in the paradigm in DSM. It didn't fit in 1981. It doesn't fit in 2018. It just doesn't go in the paradigm. So that's how we got here, to this understanding or this assumption that we all have in our worldview that drugs cause addiction. This is the definition of addiction 99.9% of people who treat addiction are using. The definition in that book. There is another definition available. The American Society of Addiction Medicine has a completely separate definition of addiction. We'll go more into detail about that in a future episode, but I just wanted to let you know there is an alternative. And it's a lot more consistent with what you'll be hearing from me than the paradigm in DSM. So in this episode, we talked about the assumption that drugs caused addiction. And I said that that's not a great assumption when you're trying to treat the disease, because it gets you to focus on the drug instead of the brain, which is where the disease actually is. Now, as bad as this is for clinicians, it's even worse when politicians get focused on this assumption. We'll talk more about that next time. I hope you'll join me. Until then, be well.